All right, we are back. It's no apologies. That was a pretty darn nice interview, I must say.
She was wonderful.
Yep, she's one of the good ones.
Not disappointed. Yeah, she's a rock star. No joke on that.
All right, so we've got an executive order we're covering tonight, as we do so often because there are so many.
I took a note of this one, though. This one was signed on April Fool's Day of this year. It was April 1st, 2021. So I don't know if that means anything or if that was meaning.
They're all jokes.
I know, right? I know. That's so true.
Okay, this one is executive order on the termination of emergency with respect to International Criminal Court. So this is another one. If you watch the show, you know that we cover several of these orders which are rescinding Trump's orders, because one of the goals is to eradicate anything that Trump has done, no matter how good it was. And this is one of those that was good. All right, pull up our first segment here. In this executive order, we have, although the United States continues to object to the International Criminal Court, so ICC, International Criminal Court's assertions of jurisdiction over personnel of the United States and its allies, absent their consent or referral by the United Nations Security Council, and will vigorously protect current and former United States personnel from any attempts to exercise such jurisdiction. The threat and imposition of financial sanctions against the court, its personnel, and those who assisted are not effective or appropriate strategy for addressing the U.S.'s concerns with the ICC. So let me just break that down for you briefly.
Do explain it.
So what they're saying is that this International Criminal Court, which is a court made up of other countries by a treaty that the United States never entered, so that's just like other countries said, hey, we have a court that rules the world.
So we're just doing this whether you want to or not. Right.
So Biden, we're going to get into what Trump said, but Biden is saying, hey, you know, we're not fond of you guys doing this. It's not really cool, but we don't think that actually doing something to stop you is appropriate. So that's the first red flag right there. Typical Biden.
Yeah, typical.
Okay, pick up the next one. I hereby terminate the national emergency declared in Executive Order blah, 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 June 11th, 2020, which is blocking property of certain persons associated with the International Criminal Court, and revoke that order and further order that the suspension of entry of individuals meeting the criteria set forth in Section 1A, which we will go over, of that order will no longer be in effect as of the date of this order. So once again, I'll break it down. What they're saying is that they're terminating it, and part of that order was preventing individuals associated with the International Criminal Court from coming into the United States. Because what can you do when you come into the United States? You can go after U.S. citizens on U.S. soil for something you allege as an international court not recognized by the United States. But they're saying, you know what, we're not going to stop you. Go ahead, come into the United States.
Goodbye, sovereignty.
But just try and be nice. That's what he's saying.
So this actually goes back to an order that Trump did, which was this 13-928. And this order that he had, as is Biden's custom, he has to obliterate every possible vestige of tiny thing that Trump did. So I think that's exactly what this is. Nobody's really thought this through. They're just getting rid of it because it has Trump's name on it. Well,
possibly, or possibly they're working with players on the global scale that they're
that's
like.
That's true too.
Yeah, because these leftists are globalists, and so they want to play ball. So Biden is just talking out of both sides of his mouth. He's saying, hey, we don't like what you guys are doing, but hey, we're not going to sanction you anymore.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So in Trump's order, which was, as we said, from June 11th of 2020, pull up the next one here. It says here, the situation with respect to the International Criminal Court and its illegitimate assertions of jurisdiction over personnel of the United States and its allies, including the ICC prosecutor's investigation into actions allegedly committed by the U.S. military, intelligence, and other personnel relating to Afghanistan, threatens to subject current and former U.S. government and allied officials to harassment, abuse, and possible arrest. So, again, now this is Trump, not Biden. Trump is saying this is bullcrap. The ICC, which is a court that Congress has never agreed to get into with as far as a treaty, ratifying a treaty, we are not going to let them, with us being over in Afghanistan, play games, make accusations.
Against our military.
Against our military, hold us up in court, None of that. We're just like he did with so much other stuff. It was like, no nonsense, done.
Pulled us out of that treaty, pulled us out of that treaty. We're our sovereign nation.
And with this, he didn't even pull us out of a treaty. He just said, this is bull crap. If you do this kind of stuff, we are not going to let you into the country. You're not going to have anything to do here. We're going to put all your assets on hold.
Right.
It was no nonsense.
It's excellent.
It was wonderful. And it makes sense. Again, think of this, folks. A globalist international criminal court that we said we're not interested in is going to come into the United States to, I don't know, gather evidence, prosecute, take into custody U.S. citizens, who knows what.
Yeah,
nonsense.
We don't need those other countries controlling our country, is the bottom line.
It absolutely is. Okay, pull up our next graphic, if you would, please. And this is a continuation of Trump's executive order. The United States is not a party to the Rome Statute, has never accepted ICC jurisdiction over its personnel, and has consistently rejected ICC assertions of jurisdiction over United States personnel. Furthermore, in 2002, the U.S. Congress enacted the American Service Members Protection Act, which rejected the ICC's overbroad, non-consensual assertions of jurisdiction.
Now, that Rome Statute of
Yes.
the International Criminal Court, or the ICC, not signed by the U.S., is the treaty that established the International Criminal Court in the first place. And we didn't sign it, as you have mentioned over and over again. So we reject it because we didn't sign on to this.
Right. Can you imagine, for example, let's say Stark County, Golden Valley, Billings counties coming together and saying, you know what, we are going to have a court of law in Burleigh County or Cass County.
Yeah, no.
And we're going to come in and we're going to do
Take
what
over
we need
and
to
do what we want.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
nuts.
it is silliness.
It's absolutely crazy. Go to our next one, please. The United States remains committed to accountability and to the peaceful cultivation of international order, but the ICC and parties to the Rome Statute must respect the decisions of the United States and other countries not to subject their personnel to the ICC's jurisdiction, consistent with their respective sovereign prerogatives.
There it is, sovereignty. And that's what he's establishing here. This is kind of where America first comes in, too, because you know what? We should be able to do our own thing. And this is, again, this is Trump's. This is what was rescinded by Joe Biden with this executive order, all the good stuff.
It is so weak to say that you are going to rescind this and allow a court we don't recognize that we have previously said has no jurisdiction over the U.S. or U.S. personnel to come in. So this is a maybe a minor. It's a blip in the media. This is a huge thing. It's just so representative of the train of thought of the leftists. This globalization, this loss of America, as you said, America first was under President Trump, and America last seems to be under President Biden.
So true.
Next one up. The United States seeks to impose tangible and significant consequences on those responsible for the transgressions, including, again, this is Trump, regarding the people associated with the International Criminal Court, and saying you can't come in, your immediate family members can't come in because it would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. And so that I think really sums it up. What it comes down to is Trump had it right. It makes sense. I think you ask American citizens, and you're talking 99 out of 100 would say, that makes abundant sense to me.
Right.
But no, Biden's got to do away with it. So there you go. There's
This
where
one,
we are.
executive order on the termination of emergency with respect to the International Criminal Court. The interesting thing is now we're in 2021 with some executive orders. So
Yeah,
getting a
we
little
are.
newer stuff.